welcome everyone to the 2018 Mark Twain Elementary D.A.R.E graduation. I always like to start off the graduation with thanking the people that make this possible, and that's the City of Miamisburg, the Miamisburg City Schools, and the Miamisburg Police Department, because without their support, this day would not be possible. I'd like to thank the fourth graders who've joined us today. I look forward to seeing you in D.A.R.E class next year. I'd also like to thank all the parents and relatives that were able to make it today. I had a good time working with your kids this year. It's a great group. We had a lot of fun, and we covered a lot of topics. Some of the topics we discussed were accurate information about alcohol and tobacco. We talked about good decision-making skills and how to resist peer pressure. We talked about bullying and being a good citizen. We also talked about how to be safe with over-the-counter and prescription drugs. The goal, fifth graders, is for you to take the information we talked about and use it, especially as you guys grow older in middle school and high school and you encounter some difficult situations. Go back to some of the things we talked about in class. We have a lot of people who've joined us today to congratulate you for your accomplishment. From the City of Miamisburg, we have our Mayor, Dick Church. From the Miamisburg Police Department, we have the Chief of Police, John Sedlak. From the Ohio House of Representatives, we have Representative Narajan Thani. From the Miamisburg City Schools, we have your Superintendent, Dr. David Vale. From the Miamisburg Municipal Court, we have the Chief Probation Officer, Chantel Jennings. And of course, you all know your principal, Mrs. Lee Market. I guess we'd like to say a few words to you today, and we'll begin with Mayor Church.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I always say that this is the best program that we have going in our city in cooperation with the Miamisburg City School District. This is our 22nd year for D.A.R.E, and we feel that it's very important, especially in these times. Before I get going with any other remarks, though, I would like to recognize Joe McKenzie from the Miami Valley Communications Council. He is taping this for Cable Channel 5, and you can watch this event many, many times between now and the next Mark Twain graduation. I have a few statistics that I would like to share with you about drugs. And it's just not here in Miamisburg, but it's everywhere across this great nation of ours. But here in Miamisburg alone, last year in 2017, we had 160 overdoses. 160 overdoses, which led to 26 deaths. This year, it's down a little bit, but we're not even half way through the year yet. But at this point, we've had 16 overdoses and 6 deaths that have occurred here in the city of Miamisburg. These are useless deaths. People dying too young when they got the rest of their life to look forward to. My message to you is the same one that I give year after year. All you have to do is say no. Just say no, because I will guarantee you that sometime in your life, whether it's today, whether it's next week, or whether it's 30 years from now, someone's going to try to get you to do something that you know is wrong. And I hope that you have the willpower to stand up to them and say, I'm not going to do that. And remember the lessons that Officer Doug has taught you over the last several weeks. And I guarantee you that if you do that, you're going to have one good rest of your life. So have a nice summer vacation, and fourth graders, We'll see you back here next year for the next D.A.R.E. program. Thank you.
Next, we have Chief Setter.
Good afternoon, D.A.R.E. graduates. Good afternoon. Thank you. You learned a lot in D.A.R.E. this year. Well, I'm sure you learned a lot in school in general this year. And I'm certain that you're all looking forward to summer vacation here real soon. You know, talking about D.A.R.E., the things that you learned, I know you learned about tobacco, correct? Alcohol? Marijuana? Yeah. Prescription drugs? Heroin? Opioids? You know, things are getting a lot stronger and a lot more dangerous than they used to be. When I was your age, I could knock off probably the cigarettes and the alcohol. At your age, we didn't even hear of marijuana. So now we talked about a lot of other things besides that, even much stronger, correct? And it's that stronger stuff that's really presenting the big danger. The mayor gave you some statistics about 160 overdoses in just the city of Miamisburg. Think about that. I'm not positive of the exact number. I didn't do a hand count, but just very quickly, looking at about 6 rows of 10 D.A.R.E. graduates. That's 60 people. So all the graduates here, that's about 60 people. Think 100 more on top of that. 100 more than twice as many of you. That's how many people overdosed just in our city. And almost half of you, close, almost half. So almost those first 3 rows right there, those were the deaths from overdoses just in the city of Miamisburg. When you think of it that way, that's a lot, isn't it? That's why we do what we're doing. That's why we teach you what we teach you. And we do it at this time when you're in the 5th grade, because it's the perfect time. You're all getting older. You're going to start being away from your parents and grandparents and guardians. You're going to start being a little bit further away from them. And you're going to be with friends, and the distance between home might be a little further. And it's around this time that we predict that you're going to find a lot of temptations out there to do wrong things. It's going to start pretty soon and throughout the rest of your life, actually. But that's why we want you to have this foundation. That's why you learned the things you learned on how to say no and how to not give in to peer pressure, because you're going to be facing it soon. The lessons that you learned were the easy thing. Applying them when the time is necessary is the hard thing. Does that make sense? That's when it's hard. But you have the tools, and you have the support. You have the support of Officer Doug. You have the support of all the police officers. You have the support of the school system and the teachers. You have the support, of course, of parents and grandparents home. You're not alone, but you may have to make decisions alone. Does that make sense? Do you understand? So it's very, very important that you remember these things that you are taught. Like Officer Doug said, as time goes on, you need to go back to thinking about what did I learn, and how do I apply it to keep myself safe and to be able to avoid some of the problems that are going to be confronting me. I know that you're all capable of doing it, and I know that if you do it, and you do follow those things, that you're going to have a really great life, and a happy life, and a successful life, and that's what we want for you. So it all starts here in school, and soon when you're on summer vacation. So enjoy it. I hope you have a great summer.
Representative on time.
Thank you, officer. Hello? How are we doing? Are you ready for 6th grade? Yes. Like the two no's, always the two no's. Well, congratulations on graduating from the D.A.R.E program and from elementary school. That is a big, big deal. Let's turn around and thank our family for coming and supporting us. Or we can do a little bit better than that. Let's thank them. All right, wonderful. Well, my name is Neeraj Antani. I'm your state representative. And what I want to talk to you about today is that I graduated from Miamisburg. I went to Miamisburg from kindergarten through 12th grade. I went through the D.A.R.E program. And I guess what I'm not supposed to talk about is our shirts were a little different when I graduated from the D.A.R.E program. But that logo was still the same. And so I went to Bauer. And Mrs. Leemarker was my 4th and 5th grade principal at Bauer before I guess she came here to Mark Twain. And so I have friends who graduated from the D.A.R.E program. And I can tell you that when we were your age, we all talked about what we wanted to be when we were going to grow up, right? Does anyone know what they want to be when they grow up? Anyone? A what engineer?
Robotic.
A robotic engineer. Okay, very specific. Good. A stand-up comedian. A computer programmer. A what? A YouTuber. I like how even the 4th graders have their hands up. Even they know what they want to be. Well, I can tell you that I have a lot of friends who achieve what they wanted to achieve. They became a engineer or a computer programmer. Or in fact, we do have someone, the Bartleys, who one of the Bartley brothers became a comedian. But those are the people who stayed away from drugs and alcohol. And I can tell you that I also have a lot of friends who I graduated with from Miamisburg who did not achieve what they wanted to be. And the reason they did not achieve it is because of drugs and alcohol. And the one thing that can keep you from achieving what you want to achieve, whether it's being a state rep or a police officer or a superintendent or a mayor or a principal or whatever you want to be, a princess, whatever, okay? The one thing that can keep you from achieving what you want to is drugs and alcohol. And so what you can do to achieve what you want to achieve, because at the end of the day, that's what you're in school for. You know, I know that you think you're in school to learn your multiplication tables and how to divide. I can tell you that that's not the reason. The reason is because eventually you're going to use that and use everything you learn in school to achieve what you want to achieve. And the only way that that's not going to happen is if you use drugs and alcohol. So you're going to use everything you learn in school to become an engineer or what have you, but you're going to use what you used in D.A.R.E to ensure that you're able to achieve that, okay? So congratulations on graduating from the D.A.R.E program. Congratulations on, do we graduate from elementary school or moving on to the middle school? And, you know, I know that you all will achieve what you want to. Congratulations.
Next, we have Dr. Vett.
Thank you, Officer Sherritts. It's certainly a pleasure and a privilege for me to be here to be part of your graduation ceremony from D.A.R.E. What a great program we have here, and we're certainly thankful to the city and the police department for bringing this to our schools. And on behalf of the entire school board, the administration, the staff, we want to congratulate you and commend you for going through this program. You know, you learned a lot of good things in there. You know, before you even started school, you had some great teachers. A lot of them sitting back there. Your moms, your dads, your grandparents, aunts and uncles, big brothers and sisters, they were your teachers. They taught you right from wrong. They taught you good and bad and what the difference was. And they tried to make you make some good decisions. And you did that. Then you came to school, and you have some great teachers here standing around the room here. They taught you math, science, social studies, PE, music, all those things. And we consider Officer Scheer as one of our staff members as well. He taught you something that's equally as important as the other subjects you're learning. Okay? How to make good decisions, how to use that decision-making model to make sure you're doing the right thing. Okay? And like I said, a lot of people have talked about, you're going to have some pressures. Some of your friends, some of your people you don't know will ask you to do things or try to goad you into doing things. And you have to be strong, but remember, you're not in this alone. You have each other. You all went through this program together. Remind one another what you learned and what you need to do. You got the people back there to help you out. When someone comes to you, go to them to help you make that decision if you're troubled. You've got your teachers here. You've got your teachers as you go to middle school and high school. So you can continue to do that. And we talked about the drugs, the alcohol, the tobacco, the bullying. There's a lot of things you need to do, and we've taken on the stance across the nation is if you see something, say something. Okay? We've got a button on our website. It says bullying on it, but you can report anything you want to on there. Okay? We can't address something unless we know about it. So please bring it to our attention. We'll go after it, and we'll take care of it. Okay? We want to make sure that this is the best, safest place that you can be, no matter what it is that brings to you. So remember, you've got each other. You've got a great support staff in this room. I know a lot of you are looking forward to summer, but when he talked about summer vacation, I think the teachers got a bigger smile on their face than some of the students did. But we certainly want you to have a great next 2 days as you finish up the school year. Have a wonderful summer, and good luck in middle school next year. Congratulations.
And Mrs. James.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. 2 more days. Who's excited? I bet everybody. Teachers, I didn't see your hands go up. I know you're excited. Judge Reddick was able to attend today, so he asked me to come and extend his congratulations on the accomplishment of graduating the D.A.R.E. program. Great work. I'm excited to hear your speeches. 4th graders, are you excited about D.A.R.E.? Yes. I know apparently nobody's excited to go to 6th grade, but everybody's excited about D.A.R.E. Come on. 6th grade is not going to be bad. You're going to have a great time. I would just encourage you to make sure that as you go through school that you really lean on your parents, your teachers, and those around you. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask it. Don't be afraid to turn to them and ask them questions as embarrassing as some of them might be. Okay? I hope you guys have a great summer.
One of the last things the students do as part of the D.A.R.E. program is they write a D.A.R.E. report and they present it to their classmates. We selected a few to share their reports today, and we will begin with Reese Privish.
D.A.R.E. is very educational. Why? D.A.R.E. makes me safe and protected from people just waiting to offer me drugs. D.A.R.E. helps me learn why drugs and tobacco are very harmful and can have health effects, and there are so many things I've learned that can help me in the future. Learning about D.A.R.E. is important. What's D.A.R.E.? D.A.R.E. is drug abuse resistance education. There are so many things I've learned in my D.A.R.E. experience. First of all, I have learned to say no and walk away so I don't feel the pressure. It's really important to avoid the bad things in life so you can stay safe. Also, I have learned to control my feelings. I know how to stay calm and relieve my stress so I don't start yelling and losing my temper. I now know how to keep my feelings to myself. Another thing I have learned is how to make a help network. What's a help network? A help network is a group of people that you can trust and can help you if you need it. Your help network is really important so you know you have people on your side to comfort you throughout your life. Lastly, I have learned to report a situation that may be hurting someone. It's not tattling on someone if someone needs the help or is getting hurt, so you don't have to be scared that you're tattling. What's a D.A.R.E. decision-making model? This is a model to help solve real-life problems. The steps are to D, define the problem, A, assess or figure out what the choices are, respond or make a choice by gathering the information, and E, evaluate or make sure the choice you made was a good choice. One way I've used the D.A.R.E. decision-making model is when I was deciding between going to my best friend's birthday party or my basketball practice. It was tricky, but I decided to go to my basketball practice and then after go to the birthday party late. Also, another way I've used the D.A.R.E decision-making model is when I stayed home alone before and I wasn't allowed to play outside. I had a choice to either go outside and disobey my parents or stay inside. I decided to obey and respect my parents by staying inside. Another way I've used the D.A.R.E decision-making model is when I was at Meadowview for my brother's basketball game. I went in the bathroom with my friends and they were climbing up on the stalls, and I decided to do the right thing by not climbing on school property. The last way I've used the D.A.R.E decision-making model is when I had a basketball game and an indoor soccer game at the same time, and since it was basketball season, I went to the basketball game. The D.A.R.E decision-making model helps me decide and make a choice that is the best for me. Safe and responsible choices are important, right? Of course they are. I'm going to tell you what I have learned to help me make safe and responsible choices. Firstly, I have learned to change the subject. If someone were to come up to me and ask if I wanted to smoke, I would change the subject, which would be the safe and responsible choice. Secondly, I have learned to avoid people who do drugs so I can't get asked to smoke or drink. That way I know for sure that I won't feel the peer pressure on taking drugs. Also, I know to hang out with the people that can be trusted and don't do any bad things. Last but not least, I have learned to make up an excuse and say no, so I also don't feel pressured to make the bad choice, because you need to always make the safe and responsible choice. Have you learned what I've learned in D.A.R.E and how the D.A.R.E decision-making model can help you make the right choices? If you did, then that's fantastic. D.A.R.E is really easy to learn and is so helpful for people at a young age to make sure that in the future they won't do drugs or smoke or be around it. D.A.R.E is really important. It's amazingly fun to learn.
Next, we have Jonathan Price.
D.A.R.E is a thrilling adventure that you will go through in 5th grade. D.A.R.E is a program that teaches kids to resist peer pressure, drugs, and alcohol to make the right choice. Did you know that more than 200 dangerous chemicals have been found in cigarette smoke? That is one of the many things that we have learned in D.A.R.E. First, we have learned how to define the problem, think about the choices, make a decision, and evaluate if that choice was good or bad. We also learned 3 different ways to communicate. For example, unsure, demanding, and confident. We learned 4 different ways to bully: verbally, socially, physically, and cyber. Next, we learned that alcohol is illegal for anyone under 21, and smoking is illegal for anyone under 18. Did you know that there are 75,000 alcohol-related deaths, and there are more than 400,000 deaths each year by smoking in the U.S. alone? We learned that cigarettes contain nicotine, which causes addiction and has bad effects. We learned not to smoke or drink because we want to stay healthy and safe. Another thing we learned is how to respond to peer pressure. This is 5 different ways to resist smoking, drinking, and drugs. You can avoid places where people use drugs, hang out with non-users, say no and walk away, say no and give a reason or excuse, or say no and change the subject. We talked about the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, and why. We learned some possible ways you feel when you are stressed, for example, frustration, anger, sadness, fear, and embarrassment. Also, we learned ways you might express the way you're feeling, for example, crying, screaming, stuttering, or an angered look. And we learned some ways to relieve our stressful feelings, for example, taking deep breaths and counting to 10. We also talked about our health network and how we can use them to help us. The D.A.R.E decision-making model stands for define, assess, respond, and evaluate, and is a good tool to use. These are some of the ways we've used the D.A.R.E decision-making model. First, we used it to make the right decision between 2 things that we want or want to do. Next, we used the model to make the choice that will keep us safe and healthy. Also, we used it to resist others' influence and identify risky situations. Then we used the decision-making model to come up with 5 resistance strategies that work. Finally, we used the model to resist peer pressure. The D.A.R.E decision-making model is a very good tool to use. The Miamisburg D.A.R.E is a very helpful program for now and in the future. These are some of the ways that I plan to use D.A.R.E in the future. First, I plan to use D.A.R.E in the future by making my own choices and not letting others make my decisions for me. Another way I plan to use D.A.R.E is when I find myself in a predicament, I will use the D.A.R.E decision-making model to make the right choice. Finally, I will use the D.A.R.E in the future to remember my help network and ask for their help. Now you know about how D.A.R.E is helpful when making decisions and know why you need to stay safe and healthy because there's only going to be one you. D.A.R.E has helped me to make a decision to not do drugs in the future. I know that D.A.R.E will help me in the future and hopefully it will help everyone else.
Good job. Next, we have Kay Deacon.
Have you ever been in any tough situations that are really worth thinking about and putting hard work into making the right decision? Well, I'll be talking about everything I've learned in D.A.R.E and all the things important that I've learned, and everything that's important to keep myself safe and make responsible choices when in situations that are tough. Have you ever heard of D.A.R.E? Do you do it at your school, or maybe it's called something different? Well, definitely one major thing is keeping yourself safe. First of all, to keep yourself safe from things like medicines, you need to make sure that you always ask or tell your parents about taking medicine before you take it, because you might accidentally take the wrong kind that you don't need if you don't ask first. And you want to make sure you make the right decision and take the right amount of medicine, because you don't want to take too much of it, or else you could have a really bad effect. It could have a really bad effect on you. Next, it's important to make sure that you are safe from alcohol, and even when you're younger, because it's illegal for anyone under 21 years of age. Did you know there are over 75,000 alcohol-related deaths each year in the U.S.? And did you know the effects of alcohol? Well, they are reasons you should decide that it's really bad and can have really bad effects on you, your brain and body, like loss of coordination, poor judgment, memory loss, self-control, loss of self-control, and slow reflexes. Also, I learned there are different ways to say no and stay safe from things that are illegal. Like if there is a place where you know there are other people doing anything underage, like smoking and so on, you should avoid it. Next, you should hang around people who are non-users, which are people who don't drink or do drugs. Another thing you should do is if someone does something like ask you to smoke, you should say no and walk away. Something else you could do is if someone asks you to do something that you shouldn't do, like smoking, you should come up with a reason or excuse not to. But really that only works if you know the person well enough, because you need to come up with something they would want to do, kind of like changing the subject. Lastly, I learned that sometimes it can be hard to make some decisions because you might have pressure on you and someone might be putting too much pressure on you to the point where you can't handle it, and that wouldn't be good. So you should do what's right in that situation, because if you do what's right, then you'll be happy knowing you did the right thing. And knowing you did the right thing is the best decision. Have you ever heard of the D.A.R.E decision-making model? Well, it will help you stay safe and make the right decisions. First of all, if I have the opportunity to go to one thing, but there's something else going on at the same time, then I will ask myself, what's the problem, challenge, or opportunity? Then once I've decided what that is, I'll ask myself, what are my choices? After I've done that, I will make a choice by using the information I possess. Lastly, I can ask myself if that was a good choice. Next, one time a while ago, I got the chance to go to one friend's sleepover for their birthday, but I also got the chance to go to another friend's sleepover party. It was a tough decision, but in the end I made one, and I told a friend whose party I didn't go to, if they invited me the next year I would go, and I did. And in the end, both friends were happy, so I know I made a good decision. Also, I can use the D.A.R.E decision-making model to help me make the right decision when I have a problem, challenge, or opportunity that is tough to make a decision, or at least the right one. Lastly, I know making some decisions can be tough, but using the D.A.R.E decision-making model can really help you make a tough decision, especially when someone asks you to do something you really shouldn't do. Now lastly, I'll be telling you about how I've used the D.A.R.E program to help myself make safe and responsible choices. First of all, if I get in any situations where someone asks me to do something illegal for my age, I'll be able to find easy ways to say no and many of them. Also, I'll make sure I stay away from them and those types of people and things. Like if someone asks me to smoke or drink, I can easily say no and get out of the situation. Next, I can use the D.A.R.E decision-making model to help keep myself safe and make responsible choices. So if I'm stuck on a decision and don't know what's best, I can easily remember the D.A.R.E decision-making model and use it to help myself out. Also, I learned if I see someone being bullied, I know the easiest way to report the bully and help out the kid who is being bullied, because they might be too scared to say anything. Lastly, I can use what I've learned to help myself stay safe and healthy by taking the right medicines and not too much of a medicine or kind I don't need, or that's not for me, which wouldn't help me and I'd just be taking something I really didn't need. I learned so much in D.A.R.E and that I didn't already know, and it's taught me so many helpful things to keep myself safe from others and to keep myself and others around me safe, and has helped me learn that there are so many dangerous things out in the world, like drugs, alcohol, and more and more. More and more kids are getting into it at a young age, so I'm glad I've experienced D.A.R.E, which has helped me learn so much to keep myself safe from everything that could get me into trouble and that's illegal.
Next, we have Ella Corbett.
Have you ever heard the term D.A.R.E before? Have you ever wondered what it stands for? Well, D.A.R.E stands for Drug Abuse Resistance Education. Now that you know what D.A.R.E stands for, why don't we find out more of what I've learned from this amazing program under the topics of what I've learned during D.A.R.E, and what and how I will use the D.A.R.E decision-making model, and how I will use what I've learned in the future. Have you ever been to the Skate World of Kettering? Well, if you have, then you've probably seen the poster near the end of the building that says D.A.R.E to Resist. That probably creates an image in your head. What do you think it is? A summer camp? A school? Well, actually, it's a program that you do at school. It's not a summer camp, though. I've learned a lot from this program, and firstly, the most important detail that we have learned, in my opinion, in D.A.R.E is how to resist peer pressure. Peer pressure is exactly how it seems. It is when you are put under any strain or in an uncomfortable situation by your peers, the people around you. Have you ever been under peer pressure? If you have, it's important to state your opinion and not let the peer that is putting you under pressure get to you. You could say no, give a true reason that you don't want to do whatever they are asking you to do, or you could just walk away. Another thing that I have learned in D.A.R.E is about responsibility. I try to be as responsible as I can be. Some of the many actions of being responsible are turning in your homework when it's due, cleaning your room, being nice to others, keeping your promises, and many other actions that are on the same page as those. Then there are drugs, another big thing. I've learned about how to resist drugs in D.A.R.E as everybody who went to D.A.R.E did. Many people take medications, and if it is prescribed to you by your doctor and you take it as you are told to, then it is not a drug. But if you buy over-the-counter medicine, it could be a drug. Also, even medicine can become an addiction if you do not handle it properly. Finally, if you experience someone being bullied, then you're a bystander. You have the choice to report it to a trusted adult like a teacher, parent, or an aide. If you want to report the bully, then that is not tattling. Only if you are trying to get someone in trouble is that tattling. Then you could use the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, and why. You might not always know the why, and you shouldn't lie about if it's true and you don't know any factual information on the why. Just repeat what you know is true. During D.A.R.E, you learn a decision-making model. The model goes along with the letters in D.A.R.E. D is for define, A is for assess, the R is for respond, and the E is for evaluate. And firstly, you should probably know what the words in the D.A.R.E decision-making model mean. Define means to explain. Assess means to find out what your choices are. Respond means to make a responsible choice. And evaluate means to review your choice and conclude whether or not you made a good decision. Next, one of the times that I used the D.A.R.E decision-making model was just recently when I was taking the English Language Arts Ohio State test. You need to define what your question means and then look at your answer choices. Then you make a reasonable choice based off of your knowledge. And lastly, you come back at the end of the test and recheck your answer and decide if you made a good choice. Also, in the future, I think I will recall the D.A.R.E decision-making model and use it for the next time that I take a test. Because really, that defines you trying your all-time best on every question that you attempt to get correct. And lastly, the D.A.R.E decision-making model helped me realize that my parents probably follow something along the lines of this every day. When they go to work, where they go, when they're looking for a good hotel to stay at, and other places that haven't crossed my mind yet. I hope that whenever I face a tough choice, I will use the D.A.R.E decision-making model. After learning all of this in D.A.R.E, I should use this in the future to make safe and responsible choices like staying confident in myself and sticking up for myself. One of the first things that I will use in the D.A.R.E program in the future is to never accept drugs or alcohol from anybody who offers them and be prepared to say no with some true facts to back my answer up. I also learned some of the results of smoking, and some of them of smoking are scratchy voices, yelling teeth, and bad breath. Some results of taking drugs are brain damage, loss of teeth, and sometimes even mouth cancer. If you have too much alcohol, then you have the possibilities of brain damage, organ damage, slurring of words, liver damage, and many other bad effects. Finally, many people take medications and think that they are taking drugs. Medicine isn't a drug if it's given to you by a doctor or prescribed to you. And as long as you take it as often as you are supposed to, you are fine. Sometimes there are drugs in medicines, but again, if the doctor has prescribed it to you, then you should be okay. The only bad thing about medicine is that it's illegal to take medicine from a bottle that doesn't have your name on it, even if it has the same serving, medicine, and everything else. You still can't share prescriptions. Now that you know what D.A.R.E is and what it stands for, are you aware of the effects and downs of drugs and alcohol? Maybe you can avoid your future being affected by these horrible said to be improvements to people's lives. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the lessons that I have learned in D.A.R.E and how to use them in your future.
And we have Melanie Del-Rio.
Have you ever heard of D.A.R.E? Have you ever wondered what D.A.R.E is about? Well, I have learned a lot in D.A.R.E class from our D.A.R.E officer, Officer Doug. For example, I have learned that alcohol slows down the brain. Let me tell you more about what I have learned and how I will use it in the future. First off, let me tell you what I have learned in D.A.R.E class. In D.A.R.E, we have learned about drugs. I have learned that drugs like tobacco can give you cancer. Tobacco can cause you to have mouth cancer, tooth loss, and other health problems. Smoking can cause ill teeth and bad breath. Smoking tobacco can also dry your skin and cause wrinkles. Alcohol slows down the brain and body. Alcohol also weakens the heart muscle and reduces the amount of blood pumped to and from your heart. And we also learned about bullying. There are 4 types of bullying: verbal, physical, social, and cyber. If you're being verbally bullied, someone might be calling you names. If you are being physically bullied, someone might be hitting, punching, slapping, or violently hurting you in some way. If you are getting socially bullied, you might be getting talked about. If you are getting cyberbullied, people might send you mean messages. We learned if you are a bystander to bullying, you need to report to an adult immediately. We learned to tell the 5 W's. Who is being bullied? What happened? When did it happen? Where did it happen? And why did it happen, if possible? Also, in D.A.R.E, we learned about peer pressure. Peer pressure is when someone your age is trying to convince you to do something. Peer pressure is something you may not want to do. Finally, we learned about resistance in D.A.R.E. Resistance is when you say no to people trying to get you to drink, do drugs, smoke, or something you're not supposed to do. Resistance is usually a response to peer pressure. It's important to resist peer pressure when it is bad. At D.A.R.E, we have a D.A.R.E decision-making model. Let me tell you a little bit about it and how I have used it in the past. First, I will tell you what the D.A.R.E decision-making model is. D stands for define, describe the problem, challenge, or opportunity. A stands for assess, what are your choices. R stands for respond, make a choice. Use the facts and information you have gathered. E stands for evaluate, review your decision. Did you make a good choice? Here's an example of how I could have used the D.A.R.E decision-making model. I could have used it when I had to choose between going to my dance lesson or going to my soccer game. Now let me tell you how I could have used it. I could have defined my situation. My problem was either went to my dance class or my soccer game. I assessed my situation. My choices were either to go to my dance class or to my soccer game. Finally, I responded and evaluated. My choice was to go to my soccer game. I evaluated my decision. I think I made a good decision because my team was counting on me and I could make up what I missed in dance class the next time, and I did. I plan to use what I learned to make safe and responsible choices. Let me tell you how. First, if someone would ask me to drink, smoke, or try a drug, then I would know how to resist because I would know what the health effects are. For example, if someone asked me to smoke, I would know that if I did, then I might get addicted and I might get cancer. Also, I would know to be confident when I say no. And if I ever get bullied or see someone get bullied, I need to tell an adult the 5 W's or 4 W's. If I am bullied, I need to tell an adult as well. Also, I can use the D.A.R.E decision-making model if I have a problem or opportunity. I can define, assess, respond, and evaluate my decision. Finally, I am thankful for all the things I did in D.A.R.E. Thank you, Officer Doug, for being an awesome teacher. Thank you for listening to what I've learned in D.A.R.E. and how I will use it in the future. I've learned so many things in D.A.R.E. Now I can make good choices in the future and I would not regret it.
Good job. Congratulations. All the students did a great job on their D.A.R.E reports, and those 5 were a perfect example of that. The last group of people I'd like to thank are the ones that make my job as a D.A.R.E officer very easy, and that's the staff here at Mark Twain. That begins with your principal, Mrs. Lee Marker. And your 5th grade teachers, Mrs. DeMott, Mrs. Eaton, and Mr. Randolph. It's now time for you to receive your certificates, and who would like to go first? We'll do Mrs. DeMott's class.
Okay, Joey Barker. Taylor Bryant. Alan Cardenas. Max Crooks. Hunter Durr. Camille Gamble. Braden Griffin. Roger Hall. Julia Hardiger. Maddie Heathman. Mallory Johnson. Gavin Kelly. Adrian Kovacs. Peyton McCormick. Lauren Nelson. Evan Pettit. Reese Privish. Cohen Pyle. Destiny Watts. And Heaven Williams.
For Mrs. Eaton's homeroom, Brody Kane. Corbett, Michaela Davis, Melanie Del Ria, Michaela Holt, absent. Hayden Holtzman, Philip Keaton, Grayson Kelly, Rachel Lukey, Ty Murphy, Kaylee Norman, Kyle Olmos, Peyton Ortez, Aaron Reeder, Elena Reyes, Landon Sparks, Paige Todd, Larry Walker, and Leah Wolf.
Danica Aaron. Miley Bush. Brooke Kern. Katie Deacon. Danny Den. Aubrey Furl. Alex Gilman. Noel Holbrook. Trenton Holden. Keith Hinnerkoff. Owen Kenner. Taylor Mackey. Chloe Nelson. Allison Pickering. Isley Pope Treadwell. Jonathan Price. Emma Strick. Amelia Sutton. Logan Tenney. Bello Weaver. And Dylan Weidel.
Good job, Dylan. Congratulations. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Last thing we'll do as part of our D.A.R.E graduation is I have a short little video to show you. graduates. Have a great summer. Have fun, be safe, and I'll see you guys next year. Thanks again for everything.
Have a great summer.